Tonight we have a very special enrichment hour. We have Christy and Eog of 4 Shillings Short. They'll explain that, I think. They're presenting how do you pronounce
Samhain.
it? Samhain.
Samhain.
Halloween concert. Songs, stories, and poetry to celebrate the Celtic New Year and the Celtic Feast, which celebrates the end of the harvest. And our Halloween is very much based on some of the traditions that they have for their celebration. We also want to thank Dimitri and Alex for bringing them here and for helping us with this presentation. So it's my pleasure to welcome Eog and Christy, and we're going to learn a lot.
Thank you very much. We're going to start off with a song in the Irish language, my first language, Táimse im Cholo is ná dúshig me, which means I'm asleep, so don't wake me. But first of all, from the old Irish, Scéal lem dúib, Dorda dam, Snígid gaim, Roy sam, Gay ardúr, Ísel grian, Gaire ri, Roidhuch rian, Ro ruad ra, Ro clec ro, Ro gab gná, Giugrungu, Ro gab ucht, Eti ein, Agre re, Mushkel. Winter, news I bring. Bells the stag, winter snow, summer past. Wind high and cold, low the sun, short its course, seas run strong. Russet bracken, shape awry, wild goose raises wanted cry. Cold lays hold on wings of bird. Icy time, this my word. Agus gaif gifur nahirim chul. Táim shem cholva is nádu stúri. Is lag a Geese a trome, gach skroil salsam. Táim shem cholva is nádu stúri. Murmailu gach chor, bech cloins gach bailuv, o chairin a shore, gakoy shon dangen mir. or the gave o'er down to the gave bow for in the sun ring. Oh, him shem ho, it's not the Merry it is while the summer lasts with the song of birds. But now that the winter is upon us and the wind is blasting, we're going to be sorrowful and mournful, hungry and miserable. This is a cheerful English little ditty. Merry it is, will the summery last, with full song. Och, nor naked wind is blast, and weather strong. Aye, what this nicht is long, and quit will make you wrong. Sorrow and mourn and fast. Merry it is,
while the summer it last with fullest song.
Och, nor naked wind it blast, with weather strong. Aye, what this night is long, and it will make you wrong. Sorrow and mourn and fast. Merry it is, will the summer last with fullest song. Och, nor naked wind is blast, and weather strong. Aye, what this night is long, and it will make you wrong. Sorrow and mourn and fast.
The aspen, oak, and maple trees with emerald, gold, and ruby leaves dance in whirling dervish air, lie crumpled now against the stair. So blow, ye north winds, blow, and bring the rain and snow. The whales and geese are heading south to leave behind the cold. So blow, ye north winds, blow. The farmer's plow sits in the shed, the miller grinds the flour for bread. The fox and bear for sleep prepare, for winter's frost is drawing near. So blow, ye north winds, blow, and bring the rain and snow. The whales and geese are heading south to leave behind the cold. So blow, ye north winds, blow. The pumpkin fields growing sweet, the fruits and nuts fall from the trees. For harvest feast we gather round and thank the sacred fertile ground. So blow, ye north winds, blow, and bring the rain and snow. The whales and geese are heading south to leave behind the cold. So blow, ye north winds, blow. Bleak and bitter, darkest night, December solstice dressed in white. The spicy wassail bowl is made, the mistletoe and Yule log laid. So blow, ye north winds, blow, and bring the rain and snow. The whales and geese are heading south to leave behind the cold. So blow, ye north winds, blow. Another year draws to an end. Make your peace with foe and friend. Ancient time waits for no one. Be ye old or ever young. So blow, ye north winds, blow, and bring the rain and snow. The whales and geese are heading south to leave behind the cold. So blow, ye north winds, blow, ye north winds, blow, ye north winds, blow. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. My name is Eogo Tuama, and I'm from Cork in Ireland.
And I'm Christy Martin from San Diego, California.
And we collectively go under the name 4 Shillings Short, which is a quotation from a James Joyce short story. James Joyce, the Irish writer, wrote Ulysses, Finnegan's Wake, Portrait of an Artist as a young man. 3 books that 10 people on earth have managed to read, finish, comprehend. But he wrote a much more understandable collection of short stories called Dubliners. And in Dubliners, there's a story called The Mother. The mother's daughter is a musician who got deprived of 4 shillings that was due to her. So she ended up 4 shillings short, and I thought that that was a very accurate and apt description of the state of musicians in this world, and I'm sticking to my story. So Christy, we finished that set with a song that Christy wrote about the joys of winter.
And I was playing the charango. The charango is a native instrument from the Andes mountain that is traditionally made out of the shell of an armadillo. It's used in the music of Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and even in Mexico. Has 10 strings on it. This is the charango.
And I have been playing tin whistle, penny whistles. Previous to that, I was playing an instrument from India called the shruti box that's used primarily to accompany chanting. And it's like a bellows-driven mouth organ. It has many different reed combinations that you can get. Then previously to that, I was playing the wooden spoons as well, and Christy was playing the hammered dulcimer. And we did a song in the Irish language, my first language, with the benign translation of "I'm asleep, so don't wake me." But the rest of the verse is wake up, grab your sword and spear and go off and out and cut off some Englishman's head. So not very benign, not very benign.
Well, 800 years of history between the English and the Irish. You're looking at centuries of therapy there. Now, behind us is a tapestry, beautiful tapestry depicting the Celtic year. The Celtic wheel of time is an 8-spoked wheel with the winter solstice at the top, the summer solstice at the bottom, the vernal equinox to this side, the autumnal equinox, and then between each of these points, a bonfire festival marking the beginning of the season. We are coming up to the beginning of November, the end of October, which we call Samhain, spelled Samhain. Samhain literally means summer's end. The Celts come together at this time to celebrate the harvest and the beginning of the new year. They would slaughter the weakened animals and fry their meat to carry them through the hard, cold winter and burn the bones in the bonfire, or bonfire as it's called. They would celebrate all those who had died and carve images in hollowed out turnips, placing a candle inside.
The fairy mounds would open. The fairy mounds would open and people would dress up in costume to be in disguise just in case the spirits decided it was time for them to join them.
The banshee.
And that's where the whole Halloween costume and Hallmark comes from.
So imagine, if you will, a bonfire in front of you, and into that, release all that you're ready to let go of, and welcome in another year. Another year has flown. Gather friends around you, don't spend the night alone. Sweep out the courtyard to greet the coming year. Lay a handsome table, your visitors are here. Build up the bonfires, now the season's turn. Welcome in another year and let the old one burn. Build up the bonfires, like the candles bright. All the hungry spirits will be coming by tonight. overcome your sorrows, all your old regrets, all your broken promises, and all your unpaid debts. Perched on your shoulder, yearning towards the flame, pour them a glass of whiskey and greet them all by name. Build up the bonfires, now the season's turn. Welcome in another year and let the old one burn. Build up the bonfires, light the candles bright. All the hungry spirits will be coming by tonight. Now make them welcome, offer them release, offer them atonement, and pray they may find peace. Give them your blessing, but do not let them stay. Feed on the cans and the pots and the pans and send them on their way. Build up the bonfires, now the season's turn. Welcome in another year and let the old one burn. Build up the bonfires, light the candles bright. All the hungry spirits will be coming by tonight. All the hungry spirits will be coming by tonight.
So Christie's first instrument was the sitar from India. She started listening to the music of Ravi Shankar when she was 10 years old and got her first sitar at age 15. Ravi Shankar was teaching in UCLA at the time, and Christie's teacher was one of his proteges, Tony Karasik.
Now, the sitar is made out of a gourd, out of a pumpkin that's been cured to be made into the body of the instrument. There are 20 strings on the sitar, 2 layers of strings. The larger bridge holds 7 main playing strings, of which 3 are drone strings that sound like this. The drone strings provide a layer of harmony. 3 rhythm strings will attune to a complementary chord, and 1 main playing string. The sound travels down through the larger bridge into the body of the instrument, causing a smaller secondary bridge of 13 sympathetic resonating strings to vibrate. So when you hit the notes on top, the strings underneath answer back like this. That echo you hear are the sympathetic strings playing themselves. You can also reach underneath with your long pinky fingernail and grab the sympathetic strings in a cascade. The music of India is called the raga, R-A-G-A, and the ragas have been passed down for centuries from student to teacher. We're going to play for you a seasonal raga called Basant. Basant captures that shift that happens when the seasons are really starting to move, and we are feeling that now. We're almost having our first frost in this area, although we can feel the Indian summer is coming again, but you know the winter is on its way. So this is Raga Basant.
And of course, it's called the sitar because you have to sit to play it. Otherwise, it would be called the standtar. This is absolutely the very first time I ever said this. And I grew up 5 miles from the Blarney Stone. And that is true. about a maid I'll sing a song, sing rickety-tickety-tin. About a maid I'll sing a song who didn't have her family long. Not only did she do them wrong, she did every one of them in, she did every one of them in. One morning in the fit of peak, sing rickety-tickety-tin. One morning in the fit of peak, she drowned her father in the creek. The water tasted bad for a week, and we had to make do with gin, we had to make do with gin. Her mother, she could never stand, sing rickety-tickety-tin. Her mother, she could never stand, and so a cyanide soup she planned. Her mother died with a spoon in her hand, and her face in a hideous grin, her face in a hideous grin. She set her sister's hair on fire, sing rickety-tickety-tin. She set her sister's hair on fire, and as the smoke and flames grew higher, she danced around the funeral pyre. Ah, playing a violin, playing a violin. She weighed her brother down with stones, sing rickety-tickety-tin. She weighed her brother down with stones and sent him off to Davy Jones. And all they ever found were some bones and occasional pieces of skin, occasional pieces of skin. One day when she had nothing to do, sing rickety-tickety-tin. One day when she had nothing to do, she cut her baby brother in two.
Ew.
And served him up as an Irish stew, and invited the neighbors in, and invited the neighbors in. And when at last the police came by, sing rickety-tickety-tin. And when at last the police came by, her little pranks she could not deny. To do so, she would have had to lie. And lying she knew was a sin, and lying she knew was a sin. My tragic tale I won't prolong, sing rickety-tickety-tin. My tragic tale I won't prolong, and if you do not enjoy my song, you've yourselves to blame if it's too long. You should never have let me begin. You should never have let me begin. People always give us instruments because they think we need more.
And of course, they're right. Our friend Bill and Chris, they came all the way from Columbus. He came to our gig a few days ago with a Ballad of Leica from Russia. So now we got to learn how to play the Ballad of Leica. Hey, I like that.
Hey, what's wrong with it?
I know, I've only had it for 2 days. I should be playing it by now, right?
So we were talking about getting a boat psaltery, and this was on a wall in Eugene, Oregon. Our friends came to our gig and gave it to us a few days later. Then we started fighting about who got to play it. So to save our marriage, we got a second one. It's always the solution.
Always the solution. Now, the psaltery is a very ancient instrument. In fact, it's mentioned in the Old Testament. But probably the psaltery that David played was more like a type of harp, an early harp called the lyre. But there are depictions of people playing an instrument quite similar to this from about 1,200 years ago. This is the modern version of the psaltery, spelt Psaltery. The modern psaltery is played with a little bow, and it's set up like the piano. The pins and strings on this side of the instrument are like the black keys, and the pins and strings on this side are like the white keys, and you play it with the bow between the pins to reach each note individually, like this. So we're going to play a medieval melody called The Bird on the Briar, or Breed on a Brera, followed by a Renaissance dance tune called None Such.
Now, this next song is a song about furniture.
Well, you know, every time we go back to Ireland, our next door neighbor takes us out to the pub for the session. And the Irish session is when all the local musicians come together to share the repertoire of music that is a part of the Irish tradition. And at the end of the night, our friend Dermot often will sing this song. And as Eog said, it's a song about furniture. Now, in this modern day of utilitarian furniture, we forget that a chair and a desk or a table are not just chairs and desks and tables. They could be a link to our past, to our families. And so this is a song about a chair that a woman held on to. It's called Mother's Chair.
Are you ready?
Yeah. There's an old armchair, it means the world to me, for I used to sit there upon my mother's knee, and she'd read to me the stories that children love to hear, but there's no one to sit in Mother's chair. Mother's chair is old and dusty, and the color's fading fast, but to me it holds the memory of happy days long past. Like the way she'd smile and hold my hand and brush away the tears. Now there's no one to sit in Mother's chair. I still recall the many times the words she'd say to me. Fight for all your dreams, turn them to reality. As I sat by her in wonder, her eyes held so much pride. I knew against all others I had Mother by my side. Mother's chair is old and dusty, and the color's fading fast, but to me it holds the memory of happy days long past. Like the way she'd smile smile and hold my hand and brush away the tears. Now there's no one to sit in mother's chair. Now the old chair is still standing where she left it on that day when the angels came to visit and carry her away. And every time I see it, it looks so cold and bare. Now there's no one to sit in mother's chair. Mother's chair is old and dusty and the colors fading fast, but to me it holds the memory of happy days long past. Like the way she'd smile and hold my hand and brush away the tears. Now there's no one to sit in mother's chair. Now there's no one to sit in mother's chair.
When the days are getting shorter and the nights are growing long, and the north wind puts a tear into your eye. If you're out about round midnight and you look off to the east, there you may see Boulder Ryan on the rise. You may know him by his stance or the starry shield he holds as he rises silent in a clear cold sky. Young Jack Frost and Old Man Winter, they both beckon to the call of their master Boulder Ryan on the rise.
Boulder Ryan, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer fall before him. Boulder Ryan's on the rise.
For 7 starry ages he has ruled the winter skies, with the fires of lost eons in his eyes. He has seen the rise and fall of kings and continents and all, rising silent Boulder Ryan on the rise. When he ascends, no hesitation. When he moves, no turning round. Like a soul being called to glory, earthly born but heavenly bound. Now the bird is on the wing, and it's southward that she flies, hastened on by Boulder Ryan on the rise. Boulder Ryan, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer fall before him. Boulder Ryan's on the rise. Summer comes and all too slowly, and it passes far too fast, and you wonder, is there nothing that can last? Here today and gone tomorrow, as the green leaves turn to red, as the present quickly turns into the past. Cut the wood and stack it high, now stoke the fires in your home, burning nightly, send the smoke up to the sky. Keep the winter at your door and keep the summer in your heart. Drink a toast to Boulder Ryan on the rise.
Boulder Ryan, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer fall before him. Boulder Ryan's on the rise. Boulder Ryan, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer fall before him. Boulder Ryan's on the rise. Boulder Ryan's on the rise. Boulder Ryan's on the rise. So this is a song based on many stories that she told us, and I call it A Ghost in the House. Back in 1865, at the end of the Civil War, a wounded Yankee soldier came knocking at my door. I was a sympathizer, and so I let him in. I dressed his wounds and fed him, though I knew he would not live. I gave him my southern comfort, I dressed his bleeding head. The Southern Army searched the town for the Yankees who had fled, and underneath the kitchen floor I found him a place to hide. And while the army searched my house, that Yankee soldier died. Bitter winds are howling, a ghost is in the house. He's knocking on the floorboards, begging to be let out. Bitter winds are howling, they blow from east to west. Carry the soldier's soul to a place where he can rest. At night while I was sleeping, I heard him moan in pain, feverish and frightened of the Confederates' revenge, with guns and cannons thundering through the pouring rain. I prayed for his salvation and for the war to end. Bitter winds are howling, a ghost is in the house. He's knocking on the floorboards, begging to be let out. Bitter winds are howling, they blow from east to west. Carry the soldier's soul to a place where he can rest. I grew to love his courage and the goodness I could see. And lying in each other's arms, we'd smile and forget that just around the corner was the lurking hand of death. Bitter winds are howling, a ghost is in the house. He's knocking on the floorboards, begging to be let out. Bitter winds are howling, they blow from east to west. Carry the soldier's soul to a place where he can rest. I wrapped him in a blanket on a moonless night. I dragged his lifeless body, I was trembling with fright. I laid him in a shallow grave and covered him up with stones. And the dirty worms and vultures, they picked him to the bone. Bitter winds are howling, a ghost is in the house. He's knocking on the floorboards, begging to be let out. Bitter winds are howling, they blow from east to west. Carry the soldier's soul to a place where he can rest.
So thank you all for coming, and as they say in Ireland, slán na bhaile, safe home. Ourselves and see so many dead by rope and stake. They call them now to reawake, so that our lovers, friends and kin may meet and greet and love again. Tonight we greet each waking soul like a candle in a bowl. So then, like birds on open hands, they stretch their wings and fly again. Whose pointed fingers turned us in, whose hands took money for our names, whose orders let the fires begin. Maybe they also live again. Maybe we mourn to walk among their burned or drowned or tortured ones, reborn to see the struggle cease and make amends and live in peace.
And if our old foes walk again, we send them strength to break the chain and bend our powers towards this end, to make a healing
between mortal and fae. A mist above the cauldron's rim, at Samhain when the veil is thin. At Samhain when the veil is thin. At Samhain when the veil is thin. Christy Martin
And Eogo Tuama. We
are
are 4
shillings
shillings
short.
short.
Thank you very much.